start with this 2x2 footprint. On the front side with the raised foundation, add these triangles. These will be our front door path for now. Next we can wall in around all of the squares. Half walls go on top of the raised one at the end. All of the squares can get a roof immediately, and we want the first triangle sealed, the second one gets a frame, and the third one sealed. Add 2 doors to the front to secure your base. Next will be the TC, which goes into this corner. We want to leave a small gap between it and the raised foundation so we can upgrade the foundation later on. We'll add this half wall to stop shortcuts, and then 2 frames into the core. In the beginning we can get away with sheet metal doors. We can actually add the roof bunker already. The problem at this moment is once we open it with the twig, this double door blocks us from getting through. This can be fixed by removing the door completely, or ideally adding a garage door. In the very beginning, we'll be using this missing wall as our front entrance. That is until you get this triangle hatch. Once you have the hatch, you can seal this, place the hatch, and that will give us a second floor entrance. We definitely want a door here, and we want it to face towards where these roofs stick out. Once again, a sheet door works for now. We can use the side of this roof to jump up, or you can add spiral stairs to the triangle foundation. Build this out until your base looks the same as you see here. First, replace all the doors with garage doors as soon as you can. This is the core of the final base. It has room for 6 sleeping bags, and it holds 60 rows of storage. Your most valuable loot should go in here. When you upgrade the walls, you want to start back here and kind of upgrade as you go around. In the end, all of this will be HQM. At this time, I would call the starter base complete. Now it's time to add some honeycomb. We'll do this where I've added these triangles, which is pretty much every side except this one where we want to upgrade these 2 walls instead. This is also the best time to upgrade these squares to HQM. Once you have that done, we can begin adding the honeycomb. We'll want to skip this one with the roof for now, the rest are good to go. All these will be sheet metal eventually, so if you have the metal to spare, go ahead and skip the stone phase, but these will work for now. Since a lot of our base is built from the externals we are yet to build, we can only build so much of the second floor right now. This may look a bit weird, but it will all come together soon enough. Now although these rooms are kinda useless until we build the rest of the second floor, we can indeed strengthen our door path on the right side here. Always upgrade your doors starting as close to your core as possible and working your way out. Next we're going to add wall frames that border the original 2x2 like this. Now this is the really weird looking part, so bear with me. We need to fill all of these frames with doors. You can technically skip this, but it does offer great protection from door campers. The door that is next to the roof should swing in. You do want to add this last honeycomb in as soon as possible. Once you do this, you will have to come around to this side and add a new entrance. Just add a triangle and square. We'll use a roof. Now this is obviously not a permanent thing. Since you have to break it, I wouldn't upgrade it past wood. Now admittedly, it does look a bit weird, but to be fair, it does have a ton of utility in its current form. The next thing we'll do is build our first 2 externals. One goes this way and the other that way. These will be fully functional external TCs, not just windowed triangles. You can start this on either side really. I guess we'll go here first. First place this triangle, and then we want to build out 8 squares with the triangle last. Break all of the twig except the triangle. Next we'll build back with half moons until we are right next to the base. Once you are here, we want to place this square. Upgrade this to stone and break all of the remaining twig. Now we'll build out to where the TC will go. Not counting the stone square, we want to build out 6 squares and a triangle on the end for the TC, which should be metal. We'll place a metal wall for the TC to be up against. The rest can be stone, but we do want to add a glass window to each side. All of these TCs will be detachable, so this is how you can upgrade them for now. Starting at this metal wall, upgrade the first square, skip the second, and upgrade the rest. The mechanism will go where we left the twig. It should look like this now. Remember to repeat this on the other side. Once again, start on either side, but repeat for the other. We first want to give our external TCs its full footprint, which looks like this. On the far end, we'll add 3 additional triangles that will give us our entrance. We'll need a triangle roof here since the entrance will be on the 2nd floor. It's important to place these walls facing the same way as shown. Once you have placed those correctly, adding these final 2 walls in should give us this structure where nothing can be soft-sided. We'll cap these off and then we can enclose the entire 1st floor. Eventually, we want to have a hatch in each one of these floor frames, but for now, you can use a furnace to jump back up. For our entrance level, first we'll fill in the rest of the floor. On the side with the roof, we'll add 2 sets of single doors. One set is obviously needed, the second is to help with door campers. The frames are for shop fronts, this will give us that extra vision. These are sheet metal doors here, by the way, not the armored ones. The rest of the 2nd floor is all walls. There will be a bunch of utility we add in here, but first I'm going to build the entire structure so that you can get a sense of its purpose. The hatch to get up to the 3rd floor should go right here. Once again, the furnace can be used until you have the resources to dedicate to this. Up here, first we'll add these. Now facing the base, we'll want full vision. You can use frames for shop fronts or glass windows here. You can place these around the whole floor or add some regular walls like I do. I use walls above the entrance here because you won't gain much vision from them anyway. Next, add in the shop fronts and or windows that you desire. For me, it's 5 shop fronts. Next, we can fill in the ceiling. Although this is the final enclosed floor, there is much utility and reason to add a roof here, so add a frame onto this triangle. Once again, the furnace will bring us up to the top where we definitely want a door. The frame for it should face the main base. It's debatable if a sheet door should go here now, but endgame is definitely a garage door. We're going to add a bunch of cool angles and stuff up here soon, but for now, just add these squares. Now from our main base, you can see how the skeleton looks, and you can also see how having 4 of these around our main base in the final build will be very useful to us. Next, we want to make this side look like this side, so it makes sense to finish this side first. So upgrade both of these foundations and the 4 walls that are attached to them. Next, we want to add these 3 squares, which will make more sense in a bit. Now we want to build the other side exactly like that one. First thing, we'll get rid of this roof. We'll do the same upgrading as the other side. Now we can add this sheet metal honeycomb to give us the same shape. From the top, upgrade the floors and add a window frame on each side. A full wall is fine in the middle here and on each end. The roof can be stone for now, and the windows can go in last. This side already had 1 square, so remember to add the last 2. Now the base should look like this, and it's got its symmetry back. Next, we're going to work on the external TC build back, which will give us our new entrances and some other very cool things. So we're going to build up the externals, but first we need to upgrade these 2 foundations and all the walls touching them. Build a triangle on each side with the following build up. Break the middle two. The idea is to get this square in this position. Do this on both sides. You can upgrade them all right to sheet metal. Next, on this triangle, we'll build stone walls that all face the triangle. The next wall goes in like this, and we can repeat on the other side. Place a frame in the middle. With an armored door, this makes our new entrance. So the idea is we come in through here, so we want a sheet metal wall in front of the core. We can actually put a frame on each side in here, but we'll come back to that later. Next, we place a frame here for the hatch that leads up into the second floor entrance. Up here, we want to add this triangle, and once we know the gap looks like this, we can upgrade them all to okay, sorry, this was a mistake. You want this triangle to be on this socket instead, and then you can upgrade them to sheet metal. We'll be covering up these gaps in a little bit. Back to it. These two triangles are normal. Now for these squares, we want to build these the same every time. With your side to the main base, the frame goes on the outer socket and the floor on the inner, like that. Away and in. Once you have that down, you can wall in the rest of the floor normally. Now let's imagine we are coming up through the hatch. We can put a wall on each side and the roof. This wall frame should be on the same socket as the hatch like this. Face the garage door away from you. Now for this roof, the 4 triangles here are pretty basic. When you get to the squares, you want to use the same technique as the floor. There are 2 options here. The wrong one is putting them on this side with the gaps ending up here. The easiest way to get this right is to build a frame first and pull your mouse all the way back. There should be a small gap here. Now when we place the triangles on the other side, the gaps look like this. This next part is kinda weird too. We want 2 sheet half walls with hard sides facing the entrance with a sheet metal floor on top. This will be used as our elevator into the main base and up to the 3rd floor. We can now place 2 stone frames with the roof. The 2 garage doors should face away from the triangle. This last half wall should be attached to the roof tile, not the wall frame below it. Repeat this for the other side, and now we have created a completely seamless roof, which is much better than any multi-TC design that has gaps on the top to aim through. Looking pretty darn solid now, with much more to go. It looks like a face, don't it? Come at me, bro. To finish the footprint, we'll want to come to the sides with 3 squares and bring them up 2 levels. We'll want to have walls and floors wherever possible, and the middle outermost walls need to be sheet metal. This can all be done from the outside if done in this order. Remember to do this on both sides, and then the base will have its full honeycomb. At this time, you'll want to consider upgrading your main core in the following way. Remember to metal your door frames so they cannot be splashed from the outside. The boxes and everything are the same, garage doors are fine, and everything leading up to the roof bunker should now be HQM. This will massively increase the raid cost. Now let's start upgrading our 2nd floor. We'll begin here since these will be loot rooms. Start by upgrading all of these pieces to sheet metal. Now we want to place a sheet metal wall with hard side facing us here, and one with soft side facing us over here. When it looks like this, we can place a stone half floor to increase the storage. A stone frame and garage door should go on the front. Repeat this in the other 3 rooms on the 2nd floor. You can put your favorite loot room into these 1x1s, it's all up to you. As you can also see, these loot rooms are very far apart from each other. This will make raiding all of them very difficult indeed. Upgrading the current roof is the next step. This will prevent raiders from being able to land up here and start top-downing you. It will at least cost them more if they try. We're basically upgrading everything except for the 2 1x3 square sections on each side that we just built. We also want to upgrade all around the elevators because the 3rd floor will strengthen around them as well. Now it is debatable the best approach for upgrading the 2x2. You can get away with upgrading it to sheet metal, but to be honest, I'm a big fan of HQM here, especially when we section off the second floor after this. So the second floor. First thing we'll want to do is upgrade above each of our entrances to sheet metal. Pretty much just to stop shortcuts. Now for the middle. So some of these doors are more important than others. Well, sheet metal is just too weak for all of them, so let me take them all down. So over here we have the entrance into our bunker. Now if you think of where that is relative to both entrances, what I'm about to do will make much more sense. First of all, we need to have armored doors on all of the frames that go from the entrance into the core. Now garage doors will actually work here too. Now we want to separate one entrance from the other. So if a raider makes it into the second floor, they will have to go through a wall or a bunch of more doors to get all of the loot rooms and then the bunker. I would totally put a door here, but if you add anything above this roof, you cannot open it anymore, so definitely avoid that in your build. Since the raiders will have to choose, let's go ahead and give them two bad choices. A sheet metal wall is already one bad choice, and going through doors will be their second bad choice after we add a couple more of them. We have more work to do on this floor of course, but sectioning this floor off so that it looks like this should be more than enough for right now. As a matter of fact, we can even add a door here. For our third floor, we'll start with a basic enclosure so that we have better access points and can build it in sections. Start off with 2 frames on each side adjacent to the elevators. Place walls between the new frames and the garage door path. We also want half walls on top of the half walls we built earlier. So for these next triangles here, we don't want them on the half wall, we want to build them from these walls. This will put the gaps in a very easy spot to cover up later. For the top here, we'll cover them all except one for our hatch up. When you place this, you want to have it ideally above where the roof bunker is, 2 floors below. It wouldn't necessarily be a weak spot in this design, but it is good practice. These frames are of course for garage doors. These will also never have to be upgraded past that. This is actually a great place to store helis now, and that will also be true after we complete the rest of this floor. Now you can wait a little bit to put these final garage doors, but for the video, here they are. So with the base being this size, it may be time to start considering the compound. To do this, we must first add our 2 last external TCs, one on this side and one on the other. So from the sheet metal wall, we want to build out 7 squares and put a metal triangle on the end. Break the twig so that we can place the TC next. Enclose the TC with 2 stone window frames and glass windows. The build back will be slightly different here since we're not using these externals for anything on our core. We'll build back 5 squares, then a triangle with squares extending on each side. This will guarantee full coverage. We need to leave room for the detachable mechanism, so upgrade everything except for the second square. When it looks like this, it is finished. Next thing to do will be to repeat that on the other side like this. After that's done, you'll want to build one of those external setups on each TC, exactly as I showed earlier in the video. You may notice on the 2 that we just built, we have some extra squares. Build these only on the 2 externals you just built. These will be the entrances through your high walls. 2 squares on each side like this. I'll show you how to build one. You'll need 4 items for each one. We want the single door to be on the far side each time with a frame next to it. This shot front gives you great vision of the ground. In the inside, put a frame for a garage door and enclose the rest. We'll put an additional frame in the middle here with a double door to give us this airlock at the very front. Now you just want to repeat that for the rest of them. 3 left. Both sides should look like this now. Once that's done, we can work on the high walls. Since this base is symmetric, we can use an exact technique to get very good placements here. Start at the door and line yourself up with the wall. Use your keyboard only to line the wall up without changing the angle of it. Carry this direction over to the second wall. This will put them in a nice and straight line. For the next 2 walls, come over to the other external and line yourself up the same way. For this one, move your mouse slightly to the left to widen the angle for this side. Once it's lined up, carry the angle over for 2 walls. As long as your angle here isn't too narrow or wide, you'll be able to fit a wall in the hole without having any gaps. Now just simply repeat that for all the remaining sides. Now if you're interested, absolutely perfect placement looks like this, but hey, nobody's perfect. These are better than gates, but we need to stop people laddering over the top for free. We use some metal barricades for this. To get up there, you can build some twig, and you'll also need twig to place the barricades a bit better. Place the barricade slightly hanging over the front so that we can get a third one behind. You need the twig to place them, but the twig can be broken after, giving you this unpassable barrier. Do this for the other entrance as well. Now I want to show you how to set up this detachable TC mechanism. To do this, it makes sense to finish the external buildings. Now there are many cool ideas I have for ways to use these buildings. I will go over those at the end of the video. Right now, I'm just building what is structurally necessary. What I just built there was giving you a fighting chance if raiders try to take this as a raid base first. The hatches pretty much separate the floors. And on the bottom floor we need to add some stuff. Upgrade both walls and foundations on either side of the TC. Add frames which hold garage doors. This makes the raid cost for each of these TCs 11 to 12 rockets minimum. Equally important here is this square which will hold the floor tile for our detachable mechanism. We'll come back to the actual mechanism later, but for now we need to upgrade these to sheet metal and then enclose this square in a window room. The last piece that we need to add is the triangle hatch on the top. Speaking of the roof, if you need more cover at the moment, the first thing you want to add are these low walls in this exact order. This will give you very good coverage for now, and in combination with what we build here later, will result in a very strong raid defense and a ton of utility. Once again, repeat on all sides. Now the next thing we want to do is upgrade all of the external arms to sheet metal. Then you can come to any of the arms and right after the twig build a metal half wall to seal the top of this foundation. This stops soft siding, and we also need this to be 1/2 height higher so that the floor can attach to the roof. So the basic idea of this is we can use this build up to get a twig triangle in here. It's important, that's why we secured it earlier. This twig can ultimately hold up this metal roof which attaches to the arm and brings the priv inward. This is detachable, so if your main TC is gone you can simply come inside, break this triangle, restricting the priv. Replace the main TC and then reattach it to get the full coverage again. Vice Versa Games came up with this idea. I'll link the video in the description. This is a really cool trick, and in my opinion, it should be used in any base that is this size. The next thing to do will of course be to repeat this for all the TCs. Now it looks like this. We want to prevent soft siding the foundations leading in, and on the 2 arms that are our entrances, we can add some very key utility. We can add these 4 wall frames and put 2 single doors in the middle. I like to make this half wall metal, and then the shop fronts can all go in. I want both single doors to swing in to avoid angles on the outside raiders can take, And on the side with our armored door, we can add a frame with a sheet double to make an airlock for both front doors. With one of these on each side of your base, you will have literally full vision of your entire courtyard. You can also add some barricades on top so people don't find their way up there. We want to also prevent soft siding on the last two externals, but they are much easier and simpler to build. We'll use the frame trick here. Basically the foundations can still be soft sided, but if they are, these frames still are attached so the priv isn't lost. Actually another pretty cool trick. You can top these off with barricades as well. Pretty formidable so far. Now let's finish our main third floor and our main roof. The roof I'll build in two halves. I'll do the first half and then you can repeat it on the other side. So you can see that there are these triangle gaps. We want a triangle built off of these, but we want the gap to be on this side like this. Next we'll add 3 window frames here to the front looking out. On each side, add this wall and frame here. These will be our secondary exits and our roof access. There will be a gap here, but we'll fix that in a second. On the outside here, we're going to add a few triangles hanging over the side. This will be the perfect place to land your helis. Now on each side by the exits, we'll want a window and then the floating half wall trick. Once you build both, you can then extend the low walls around the entire helipad, which will give you some cover as well. Now you can see the base is really starting to take some shape here. The best place to add these ceilings is from the very top. The first triangles here you can place normally. These squares are special since they use the same trick as we previously built. Remember, out and in is the way to win. Yes, that was corny. These triangles also have 2 sockets that they can build on, so you want them on the external TC, which is the outer. So you can see there is much room up here to land and to hang out. The last thing we'll do up here is to add a garage door on either side. So now one half is done, and all we have to do is the same thing on the other side, which looks like this when finished. Now we just have to add our 4 turret rooms on the metal parts. I'll show you how to build it. We can jump down and build 2 frames for the doors that will open when enemy players are detected. With the doors open, we can kind of inch the turret up as good as we can and make sure it faces out. Jump up here so you don't block yourself, and we build walls with the soft sides facing the turret. The roof goes in, and then if we jump up from the top, we can get the last wall. These triangles also have options. To be seamless, they need to go outward. So one thing I do want to mention real quick is there is still a gap up here that we are yet to fix. This also carries through to down here, and since we don't want gaps, the fix for this is to come to above the elevator and place a half wall with hard side facing this way. This will trigger the adjacent wall to create the end texture. Now there is still technically a gap there, but nobody can use it to their advantage. If you have trouble placing these, try jumping while placing it and it should work. Now at the very top, of course we want a main tower that reaches as high into the sky as possible. We'll build a neck of this around the 2x2. Sheet metal is wise here, so it doesn't break from a few heli rockets. If you need more cover while up here, you can add low walls around this upper edge. This is really cool because if people somehow find their way onto your helipad, you still have a height advantage from up here. We will leave 1 triangle on each side open. This will be for spotlights. Okay, back to the tower. Remember your hatch up and the rest of the roof is solid. You shouldn't need the stability, but if you do, you can add these wall frames, which should help. This won't be a sky-high tower, we're only going to go up one more level. Once again, these walls should be sheet metal. So for the top floor, first add a triangle on every side. Next, we're going to fill in the middles and then add a triangle on each end. This will leave you with a small gap on every corner. It should look like this. Oops, actually I forgot one. There you go. Next, build frames around the entire square. This is to help put the roof on after. Let me show you a trick for these extensions. If you try to build the windows on the end first, it will break. The fastest way to build these is by adding the middle one first and then each end. Here, see again? This will never go on first, unless the tower is really low to begin with. Walking in this direction, you want to now place a door frame right before each gap. This makes getting in here for free much harder and require at least 2 people to do so. The rest of this is kind of well known, so I'll just go ahead and build to the music. Remember to put all your hatches on, and after you add some windows and metal embrasures to everything we built so far, you get what looks like this. In my opinion, the base looks awesome at this point. Now let's get rid of the final gaps. This will actually double as honeycomb to add more protection to our elevators below. We'll use 3 triangle slanty roofs here. They can be a bit finicky to place. Actually, they're not finicky at all, I'm just bad. You simply need to stand next to them to get them into place. These roofs go on the other side as well. I'm skipping that part though because I don't want you to see how long it actually took me to get them into place. So let's finish the main core now. Easiest way to show you what to do next is floor by floor, so we'll start on floor 1. First we want to upgrade both of the walls on either side of the entrance to sheet metal. Also, after the armored door, I've added garage doors to those frames and behind them are refineries. This base can hold up to 4 indoor refineries. On the other side, we'll want to upgrade the same walls, and I've already added the inside part. On each of the corners of the base, there will be this triangle indent. We want to add a triangle floor with a wall frame on it. Behind this garage door will be a turret that opens when an enemy is within range. We want to add one of these to each side, so in the end there should be 4. These in combination with the other ones we built earlier will cover your entire compound with ease. The second floor has the most changes since it's more important and must be secure. It's also the biggest space, so we can add all of this cool stuff. I've put this bedroom layout behind each of the windows from earlier. There are 4 total, 2 on each end of the hallway. There are also some extra things in each corner. Now to finish this floor, you will want to add a frame and garage door to the front of each of the bedrooms like this. As you can see, a level 3 workbench can go here, or collection of level 3s as it seems to be these days. The repair bench, vending machines, all of this stuff can be here. It's also very important to have sleeping bags on every level of your base. Of course you can add whatever you'd like here, just don't put a wall frame or anything over that roof. Oh, almost forgot. You want to upgrade these 2 walls to sheet metal as well. The only 2 upgrades needed on the 3rd floor are these 2 metal roofs on the outside. On the inside you have some options. I'd like to put vending machines in front of the windows with sleeping bags next to them. You'll never know if someone's going to land on your roof to mess with you. You could also use beds, just make sure that you could respawn up here. You could also go ham with frames and garage doors in the middle, but I don't know if that's actually necessary. Here's a really great thing to add that I actually don't see in many bases anymore these days. The good old spotlight. They go right onto these triangles and hang off the edge. We didn't put low walls there so we can control them, but quickly duck if we need to. There is room for 4 of them up here, 1 for each quadrant of your compound. At this point, the main base is finished, and the only thing left to show you is the external buildings. These first things here should go on the top of each of them. Build 3 frames on each of the side on the roof like this. These will be for the windmills. An important part here is to place these stone barricades. Place them exactly as in the video. Now I did a lot of testing with where to place these, and this setup seems to be very strong. These are most definitely for PvP and online raid defense. You can spawn in any of the 4 towers and take advantage of all these angles. If there are enemies on your roof, you can duck and you're almost impossible to hit, where they don't have that same luxury. The outside should all look the same like this. I'll show you my favorite 2 insides. First, this one. On the top here, I just have some spawns, extra boxes, and a trap protecting the hatch. The second floor has some lockers and storage. We have a trap behind each window so that if you find the raiders in this hallway, you can simply take the windows off and let the traps go. The real difference is the first floor. This is what I would call a loot storage external, since its main theme is boxes and things like that. All of these should have some form of bedroom and lockers for raid defense, but this one is based on storage. This next one is my favorite. Since we do have windmills on the top, all that electricity needs to go somewhere. I figured the best place to put large batteries would be in here. Some raiders actively look for electrical rooms to turn off the turrets, so making them raid 4 different bases to find this can be very useful. You can also simply split your entire circuit into 4, which is what I would do. And that is pretty much the oh my, the video is almost 40 minutes long. See ya!